say?
They should be unlockable. Skins should be unlockable.
Exactly.
The Mii costumes, yeah, I could agree with you on that to a point.
No, period. The Mii costumes should be unlockable. Either that or they should be tied to amiibos, but they shouldn't be charging $2.99, $3.99, $1.99.
If they are already made,
how many man hours does it take to create
They probably do it in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Because all they're doing is taking shit that's already in the game and just reskinning it. Like they're just putting in.
If it's already in the game, then it should be unlocked.
That's the worst thing about DLC. It's the worst thing about modern DLC is these companies charging you for skins.
No, they're charging you for shit that's already in the game. Which bothers me. Like here's the thing. If you're making something from scratch, like, okay, the Golden Land of Torna, that DLC they did for Xenoblade Chronicles X. Xenoblade Chronicles 2. That, like, literally was, like, a new continent to explore, even though it was a prequel. So, like, I'm tired of them doing DLC and it's a fucking prequel. It's like, look, I don't care what you do in the prequel. It doesn't fucking matter because it's a prequel. We already know this shit's gonna be fucked up. You know? It's like, this is what happens before Ocarina of Time. Yeah, all these people, I don't give a shit about these people. They're gonna die. They're all fucked.
Yeah.
But that being said, let's everyone introduce themselves. Before we do, I should have the new opening soundtrack for the podcast going on. It's Joystick from the Daz Band.
Interesting choice.
Well, I mean, I want to go something that sounded like it went with video games, except if you listen to the song, the guy's using the joystick as a euphemism for his dick. But whatever. I mean, hell, look, we didn't have a lot of choices back in the day for video game songs, okay? It was either that or it's On Like Donkey Kong and Pack Attack, and those songs are lame, so joystick it was. But with that being said, let's have the lady introduce herself and the gentleman, and then we'll dive right into it.
You and your choices. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages. I am Joy. So welcome you to the BS Busters Underly podcast, and I got plenty to make up for last week.
Yeah. Well, we're covering the news from last week because it was a big news week last week. This week, not so much, but last week, oh god, a lot of news. And of course, Mr. Abominito.
My name is Kanoshi Abominito, and don't pay for skins.
Yeah, DLC in general is feeling like a ripoff these days.
Your mileage may vary depending on who's making it.
Just period. DLC feels like is feeling like a ripoff these days. Not all of it, but I would say about 70% of it feels like a ripoff to me, by and large. But that's neither here nor there. Let's talk about some of the news that we missed from last week. I'm trying to find where I literally began to paste the news. We talked about the guy.
Probably need to put a news folder in your web browser.
Yeah, normally I'm much more organized than this, but I've been getting over a cold this week, so I've been kind of out of it a little bit.
Hardened.
Yeah. Okay, I found it. It began with Ash Ketchum, that motherfucker. So basically, apparently there's a new Pokemon series coming out. The next series, not series, but the new season where Ash goes to a new region. All next that season. So apparently he's gonna have a new sidekick and all that shit, and it's gonna take place in the Galar region. Before I go any further, so I don't have to.
Who cares?
Yeah, does anyone here care? Give a shit about Pokemon anymore? The animated series?
No, I stopped caring about the Pokemon animated series when I was like 12, 13.
I'm a mixed I'm a mixed bag on that. They just ruined more already. And if anything, I mostly just watch it to see if there's something.
So you're still holding out hope that they might do something cool, but you just keep on getting disappointed because they don't?
I know. To be honest with you, I try this. I'm more like bars low. I want to see how low it goes. To
you want to
just
see the Hindenburg crash. Like,
yeah,
well, I want to turn away, but I can't.
I
It's
heard the
just so
manga.
yeah. That's
I heard the manga was pretty good. Too bad,
yeah. The manga is good. As a matter of fact, the Pokemon Generations manga. That's basically it's like there's two well there's really like four, but the two main mangas for Pokemon is the one the one that we got here in America with Ash Ketchum. But then there's another one that they did after that one came out, like 2 or 3 years after that one came out. That's Generations, that has like red and blue and silver and gold. Like it's like more based on the game. And that one, from what I heard, is really good. Like it's kind of
yeah,
dark and it's gritty, and that's what they base the Generations short OVA things on. And I would rather like if they did that, I would watch that. I would watch that Pokemon. But like Ash Ketchum,
yeah.
I was over Ash Ketchum when they did Pokemon the movie, and Ash died, and like all the Pokemon, even Pokemon who didn't know that motherfucker died or crying and brought him back to life. It's like, what type of bullshit is this?
Well, I saw it was the OVA that came out a couple of years ago. They actually dubbed it, and that was it was like a 6-part series, and I thought, man, this is freaking great. Why
Yeah,
isn't this the main anime?
yeah, that's Pokemon. That's Pokemon Generations. It's like, wow,
Yeah,
this is what Pokemon should have been when we were kids. Why did we get
yeah.
that kitty bullshit with Pokemon? You know, even though, look, listen, to be honest, I have to admit, I too was taken by the Pokemon rap. And, and gotta catch 'em all, Pokemon.
Oh,
Like, but after, I mean, that was like I was a kid and it was hot. It was the in thing at the time. And then after I saw the movie, like Pokemon the movie, it was a big deal. And I saw it, I'm like, this is stupid. And then that's when I was like, yeah, I'm done. I'm done with this thing. I still played the games at that point, but I was like done. So I guess the answer to Ash coming back in a new anime is I don't give a shit.
why
I just
for
don't give a
me.
yeah.
shit.
At
Like,
the
cause
time, I was I even really liked the at least the first two movies, and then the third movie got really weird to me. It's like, what?
the problem
Three more of what the
the
hell?
problem for me with Pokemon is that it like the Pokemon show is that it's fucking formulaic. Like Ash goes to a new region, he gets rid of all of his Pokemon except he keeps his magic Pikachu that has the ultimate power all the time. And then he basically like I'm like, do something different with the series. Have him do something different. Do something. Stop repeat. Like it's basically the same fucking plot. And then Jesse and James are gonna show up. You know, Team Rocket. We gotta catch that Pikachu. You motherfuckers have been chasing down this Pikachu for goddamn 20 years.
Age
Who gives a shit about the fucking Pikachu? There's so many better Pokemon. I mean, even as someone who used to be heavily into Pokemon, but Pikachu's not even a good Pokemon.
Well, you didn't try to capture Mewtwo, Moltres, Bear, uh, Lugia. I mean, you didn't go after the legendary Pokemon. Like, it just doesn't make any
They
sense.
just keep on like here's the thing. I think a talking Meowth is way more badass than a fucking Pikachu. Look, I'm gonna break this down for you, okay? Pikachu, even amongst like the Gen 1 electric Pokemon, is not a good electric Pokemon.
there's
Its special
more
stat is
choices than
trash.
Pikachu.
Its
I mean,
special
Raichu is better than Pikachu, and that mouse gets shafted a lot.
yeah, look, its evolution, it loses its speed stat doesn't grow as much if you evolve it into Raichu, but all of its other stats get balanced out, so it actually becomes more competitive as Raichu. Uh, but even the other electric Pokemon, Electabuzz is a better. Sorry, Electabuzz is a better electric Pokemon from Gen 1 than Pikachu because it actually can take a hit. Pikachu, like literally, if you have a Diglett, okay, if you take a Doug Trio that knows Dig or Earthquake versus a Raichu, the Doug Trio will fuck up that Raichu with one Dig or one Earthquake, no question about it. Okay,
It's like make a quick comparison of Pikachu and Cloud Strife. You know how Cloud Strife is essentially the face of Final Fantasy, but there are way better Final Fantasy games out there.
Well,
than Final Fantasy 7.
well, maybe
10.
better protagonists. They're better protagonists in other games, even though Cloud Strife is the face. Like he's the most popular, but there's better protagonists. Like I would say Terra from Final Fantasy VI, Bart's from Final Fantasy V, even Cecil with that lame ass name is more interesting of a character than Cloud Strife. But Cecil, you took our magical crystal, but we shall be avenged by Cecil.
I don't even know how. I don't even know how. I guess it's just how they. I don't even know how none of the starter Pokemon became like the face of the Pokemon.
Because their colors corresponded with. Because initially there were two versions of Pokemon in Japan: Pokemon Green and Pokemon Red. The red Pokemon, the red game's franchise character was Charizard. The green Pokemon was Venusaur. So that it was just corresponded with the colors. In America, they took green and they made it easier and changed some of the stats and some of the Pokemon, and they called it blue. So we didn't get green here in America until they re-released Leaf Green and
Fire Red,
Leaf Green. Yeah, personally, like, I mean, like, here's the thing. I'll always have a soft spot in my heart for the Gen 1 Pokemon, just because that's the game that got me into Pokemon. It's like you're always gonna remember your first, and for me, the Gen 1 games kind of got me into Pokemon, and I still I'll still every once in a while pull out those old Gen 1 games, the re-releases, because the re-releases are way more playable than the old ones, but like, I mean, those games still hold up to an extent, even though they're, like, I would say that the Gen 1 Pokemon games are harder in some ways, and they're not as noob friendly as later Pokemon entries, and I'm okay with that, because, they're not supposed to be. They're the first ones. They hadn't perfected the formula. My problem with Pokemon is that as time's gone on, it's become extremely formulaic, to the point where...
I was about to... Formulaic? Not quite, but I would say it's gotten more.
I would say overly familiar. It's become overly familiar, and to the point where... And they don't really want to take risks. And when they do take risks, it's like the wrong risks. Like, you get Pokemon...
Yeah, that's...
the ones that took place in the Galar regions. Not Galar, the Aloha regions. Basically,
one of the few. Yeah, I still have my
Aloha.
Still have my original copy of Pokemon Red for the Game Boy.
Yeah.
I got every I got every generation in my house.
I do not.
And I actually know the feeling in a sense of how it's.
Like I said, my problem is that it just got kind of formulaic to me. It got very like, this feels the same. This feels the same, and like the fans of Pokemon, like, they're okay with it not doing anything that's even slightly, like, I'm not saying throw away the formula, but at least give people options who are tired of the formula. Like, say, hey, okay, so this is a Pokemon game. We have 2 campaigns. So you have a campaign for people who like the formula, and then we have a campaign where, hell, you can join Team Rocket and be a villain. That'd be interesting. It'd be different.
That'd be out there. I'm going to say that right now.
Let me shake down. Look, instead of fighting your way through a Pokemon gym to get a badge, if you're Team Rocket or whatever evil team is in that game, you basically fight the gym and take down the gym, take over the gym, then you shaking down people for money. You go by the gym every in-game week and you get your cash. It's like, yeah, this is my money, bitch. Give me my Pokemon dollars.
And people wonder why they keep it E for everyone and don't stray away that far from the formula.
I don't mean keep the cursing, but the idea of playing as kind of a villain isn't that out of place from a Pokemon game. Shit, look at Pokemon Gale of Darkness and XD. Those games, Coliseum and Gale of Darkness. Those games had you going around snatching people's Pokemon. Of course, they were shadow Pokemon, so like, you really weren't the villain. But I mean, it was created by an evil organization. Shit, do something. I'm just saying.
At least I could agree with you on that.
Upgrade the formula. Look, I'm not saying throw away the fight your way through 8, 9, 10, 12 gyms and go to the Elite Four and all that shit. Look, keep that in there. But for people who want something a little bit different to cleanse the palate, and offer some other shit. Maybe maybe have challenge runs where it's like, okay, you can play as the normal Pokemon trainer who you fight your way through the gyms and you choose one of the 3 types. But maybe you can play as a bug type. That'd be ultra hard mode because bug types suck at late game. They're great beginning, but late game they're trash. But maybe you might be able to pull it off. I don't know. Show how skilled you are as a Pokemon trainer. Do something.
I was about to say,
shit.
Grass types usually get the shaft in any region.
Pure grass types. The hybrids aren't that bad because they can learn other shit too that can make up for their weaknesses. But enough about Pokemon. It's time to move on to the other news story. Okay, that we missed from last week. Kevin Feige is being tapped to step in and quote unquote help Kathleen Kennedy over there at Star Wars.
Excuse me. Did how much of a mess The Last Jedi left behind?
Yeah, what's really going on, if you read between the lines, because people don't like reading between the lines, is this. Star Wars under Disney has not been...
palatable?
Well, I was trying to be polite. It's been shit. It's been shit. It's been shit. And so basically, they're saying...
I at least tried to be polite, because...
Yeah. Well, let me be frank. It's been utter and complete shit. So basically, what they're trying to do is, essentially, is they're saying, okay, we have this guy who's basically... Kevin Feige's done something we've never seen before. He basically took Star Wars and he turned it... he took Marvel, and he took all of these characters that no one ever gave a shit about, and, like, B-tier characters...
And gave...
Well, at that time, Iron Man was like a C-tier character, and he turned him into a major character. No one gave a shit about Thor. He turned that into a major character. No one was talking about Hawkeye. Turned him into major character, or Black Widow. Turned him into major characters. Brought that shit forward. It's amazing what he was able to do, and they're hoping he can work that magic on Star Wars.
They should just reboot the franchise at this point.
They did reboot Star Wars. They bought it from George Lucas, and they took all the canon that people who were Star Wars fans were looking forward to and liked, and they flushed it down the toilet. Here's what people don't understand. When you have franchises that have been around for 30, 40, 50, 60 plus years, and there's like a huge amount of canon attached to it, you have to be very careful in how you reboot it, and that you don't piss off the core fan base, because they're the ones who get, like, Star Wars...
You're just asking for explosive of anger and violence.
Well, I mean...
Of certain franchises.
Case in point, Star Wars is big. The reason they're Star Wars fans is because, my age, is because our parents got us into it. We were kids and we got into it. If you look at kids now, they don't give a shit about Star Wars. They're not into it because their parents feel betrayed by Star Wars as it is now. And for people who say, well, it's not a thing, the lady who was in charge of building Star Wars Land at Disney World, they fired her ass because Star Wars Land is a fucking failure. Okay? It's a fucking failure, all right?
Oh, God. That's more of a dumpster fire than a failure.
Okay. It's a dumpster fire where someone took used diapers and dog poop in bags and put it in the dumpster and then lit it on fire. So it's a real dumpster fire. It's a stinky, shitty dumpster fire. And
thank you.
The only reason they're not firing Kathleen Kennedy is because it would look really bad to have one of the highest positioned women at Disney to Disney doesn't want to be seen. It looks bad publicly, but believe me.
If anything, this is one of those times where I say, swallow pride, do the right...
Well, they can't. publicly they can't do it, but I mean, they're sidelining the fuck out of her. They're putting her in a corner and not giving her a damn thing to do. And that's why they're like, well, Kevin Feige's gonna help her out. That's code. That's bullshit marketing code. They're actually they're gonna have him come in and fix it after episode 9. Speaking of episode 9.
Oh no.
Now I remember.
I gotta interrupt here with this because they're trying to really save number 9.
Well, here's the thing.
They're putting money into this.
Here's the thing. Remember when Disney bought Star Wars? Remember everyone was like, yeah, they're going to get rid of George Lucas, and we don't need George Lucas. Fuck what George Lucas wanted. To hell with George Lucas. We got new people in.
To be honest with you, go on before, but if anything, I actually was curious of how it would run without George Lucas.
For those people who were like, we don't need George Lucas to make Star Wars, let me tell you something. After seeing The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi and Solo...
The Last Jedi
and Solo, I'm going to tell you right now, I would rather watch The Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith over and over again on loop than see those fucking movies again. The new Star Wars films.
You tolerate 1 through 3.
Yes.
7 through 9.
Because 1 through 3, like, here's the thing. Here's the problem with George Lucas. George Lucas has vision, but he doesn't necessarily always have the skill to put that vision out in the best way possible. But you can't say he doesn't have vision. Because I remember when I was a kid and The Phantom Menace was about to come out, and they went to Skywalker Ranch and they showed George Lucas's workroom where he had all of these stills, frame by frame by frame, drawn by artists of what the story he wanted to tell. And I mean, when someone has that level of vision on a project, that's actually a good thing because it shows that they're organized and they know where they want to go. The problem with George Lucas is that he did those movies himself, especially that first movie. And there weren't people in the room with him like there were in the original trilogy saying, that's not a good idea, you need to change this. Like, he didn't have those people around him at the time. Subsequently, with the second movie, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith, those films did have people in the room, but, you know, and those films subsequently did get better than The Phantom Menace, but by then it was kind of too late. But they still, I mean, those films still did get better.
The second movie was trash.
What? What movie?
The second movie.
Attack of the Clones?
Yeah.
Why?
That movie was.
No, why was it?
I don't know. I just thought it was really slow versus the.
Yeah, it was kind of slow paced. It was basically the plot kind of meandered a little bit but there are some really cool moments in that film. The starfighter fights, the Jedi attacking the Colosseum in Geonosis, Mace Windu fucking cutting off Jango Fett's head. He's like, we have had enough of this shit. And just kills his ass. I mean, like there's a lot of really cool moments in that film. I can't say the same thing about The Last Jedi. Even the lightsaber fights in The Last Jedi are fucking trash.
Yeah, and I just remembered one thing that really pissed me off, and I need to get this off my chest.
Go ahead.
Listen, when somebody is willing to make a sacrifice and are willing to stop their life out just so they can stop somebody from taking out dozens of others, as someone that has somebody in the military, I can understand that it can be difficult, but it's the ultimate cost for certain things. And having somebody do a beep last minute FU save, trying to save them because they love them, and then have their own crew get killed for such a stunt, that definition of utter middle finger BS.
You must be talking about The Last Jedi.
Oh, beep in the ass.
Yeah, That whole movie was a big fuck you to Star Wars fans.
Well, the thing is, I didn't see any of the trailers before The Last Jedi.
Mm.
So when I saw the movie, I was like, oh, so it's gonna be because when I saw the Finn character and the other character they showed in the movie, oh, it's gonna be kind of like a buddy cop Star Wars movie, and then it just
buddy cops.
Yeah.
Really?
Like when I saw The Last Jedi, I didn't pay to see it. I saw bits and pieces of it while watching other films because basically I get to the movie theater early and I would go in and watch a little bit of it and then I go watch my movie. But from
I was
what
about
I've
to
seen
say,
of The Last
did
Jedi, what?
you actually snuck a peek without paying for it. You are a
oh no,
sob.
not The Last Jedi, The Force Awakens.
Oh, The Force Awakens. No. When I saw The Force
that was
Awakens,
the one I was talking about.
When I first saw The Force Awakens,
Yeah,
it's like that joke by what's his name, by Eddie Murphy, where he's talking about
Yeah.
the sex joke where it's like if you haven't had sex for a long time and then you finally have some, you're gonna think it's the best sex ever, even though it might not be that good. It's like having someone who's starving and you give them a cracker and they think it's like the best cracker ever. It's like, yeah, but then you realize it's just a fucking cracker. That's basically what The Force Awakens is. It's like we hadn't had Star Wars in so long that we were like, oh, it's gonna be great. And then you watch it, it's like, oh, that's pretty good. And then you go back and you look at it and you're like,
there's something funny because Force Awakens, something that gets cracked on a lot, is better than The Last Jedi. And I admit that it's been ages since the movie, and I could give it that.
Yeah, but that's like saying, oh, is it better to get kicked in the balls or punched in the mouth? It's like, well, yeah, it's better to get punched in the mouth, but I don't want to get punched in the mouth or kicked in the balls. You know?
Exactly. I don't either.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I consider the as a slap. The Last Jedi, there's the orbs.
There's a lot of interesting lore from the bits and pieces I've heard about the professional fan fiction stuff, and they hardly used any of it because they thought, oh, we're just gonna completely scrap that.
Yeah.
Take a little bit. We don't want to pay these guys.
Yeah, so we'll take little bits and pieces of their shit and change it just enough that we won't have to pay them.
It's like Disney. Disney, you've got more money than God. What? Why in the hell? Why in the hell are you so cheap that you're not willing to pay?
Because they wanted to create their Star Wars, but their Star Wars is trash. That's the problem. Like, here's the thing. I have nothing against someone creating their own version of characters. Like Marvel, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is different from the comic books. Like the Marvel Cinematic version of the Hulk is a bitch. The Hulk in the fucking comics is like insanely powerful. Like, oh shit, I wouldn't want to fight this guy.
I was gonna say he's more ripped than the movie one.
No, I just mean in terms of like power level. As a matter of fact, with each installment of the Hulk in singular movie form, he's gotten farther away from what the core character is in the comics. The Ang Lee Hulk actually is the closest to the comic book Hulk. That movie, people didn't like that movie. I personally liked the Hulk in that movie. I didn't like the other parts of that movie. But in terms of like his power level and the amount of shit that the Hulk could do, regrowing limbs, regeneration, getting bigger as he gets stronger, basically
jumping like 50 feet in the air,
jumping miles away, the Hulk does that in the comics all the fucking time. It's insane.
Yeah.
Like that's the close. And then they did Edward Norton's The Hulk, where the Hulk was weaker. Like he was like explaining, well, I wanted to make a Hulk where he had to struggle to win. It's like the Hulk doesn't struggle to win. He just gets angrier and stronger. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Thanos Thanos shouldn't have taken out the Hulk as easy as
No, he shouldn't have. But I mean, like here's the thing, okay? The Marvel Cinematic Universe was built off of the back of Tony Stark, so it had to be the let's blow Iron Man show, and that's what it was.
Yeah.
That's putting it politely, my friend.
It's let's blow Iron Man show. But that being said, so I mean, this is what they all wanted. Everyone's like, back to Star Wars. They were all like, yeah, we're tired of George Lucas's stories. We're tired of Star Wars the way. So, I mean, The Force Awakens is better than The Last Jedi. But you know what was even better than The Force Awakens? The first time the movie that The Force Awakens is a fucking remake of, Star Wars: A New Hope.
even the lore of the cartoons, both the 2D animated one and the clone and the 3D Clone Wars,
they're more
the
interesting.
CGI Clone Wars.
Yeah.
They're more interesting.
It's like, can we please stop always going around the same fucking 4 or 5 planets? And why is it that this universe, they fought off one fascist Nazi dictator? They invite the same motherfuckers back in again. Like, seriously, did no one learn their fucking lesson from decentralizing power? And why are the villains still creating Death Stars? Did anyone learn their lesson from 2 of the motherfuckers being blown the fuck up the first time? Seriously, let's create a...
Do they need a third piece of humble pie?
Even in The Force Awakens, like even Han Solo's like, so it's another Death Star. It's not another Death Star. Even he was like, yeah, you lazy motherfuckers made another Death Star. Seriously. It's fucking lazy. It's fucking lazy. Star Wars under Disney should be categorized as lazy. Just everything about it is just fucking lazy. But they're bringing in old George to help out with episode 9. They're bringing him back to help out J.J. Abrams' episode 9. And actually, believe it or not,
I bet they'll be fighting. I bet they will be fighting a lot in those boardrooms and those meetings.
Actually, I read some of the excerpts of what George Lucas wanted to do with his episodes 7 through 9. And what he wanted to do, what his vision was, it actually sounds really cool. It's a pity we'll never get to see it. Basically, what George Lucas wanted to do with episodes 7 through 9, he wanted to have an old Luke Skywalker who basically in episode 7 is essentially kind of like, he's like, I'm tired of being a Jedi. I'm tired of the Force. I'm tired of all this shit. I'm a hermit. And then he finds a new apprentice who basically revitalizes him. So basically over the course of these 3 movies, they face some greater threat. Like Luke becomes the Jedi that he once was. He revitalizes himself. During this period, he teaches his sister the ways of the Force. They reunite with their old friends. They take on this ultimate evil. Luke sacrifices himself to do it. The next generation of Force users and Jedi are created. Sounds like a really cool idea. Too bad we'll never get to see it because we got this bullshit from Disney and J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson, who, I don't care what anyone says. If you think Rian Johnson is getting the Star Wars trilogy, that he's going to get to do all on his own, I got some land on the moon to sell you.
I bet one of the reasons George Lucas is like jumping on us like, oh no, my toy revenue has been threatened.
Well, yeah,
I gotta fix it.
But not just that. There's like warehouses filled with Star Wars merchandise for these new characters that no one gives a shit about. that Disney can't sell. They can't sell Rays. They're not selling Kylo Rens. No one gives a shit about these new toys. No one cares. They can't sell it. No one fucking cares. I mean, this is just sad. And one of the true money maker.
Star Wars brought down Toys R Us.
Well, the thing about Star Wars that always made it profitable was the merchandise. Because really, people forget that in the early '90s, Star Wars was not being re-released. It was coming out on video. But what really made Star Wars pop for people in my age group were the Star Wars video games: Super Star Wars, Super Empire Strikes Back, Super Return of the Jedi, the Star Wars games on Game Boy, even though they sucked and they're from JVC, the shitty Rainbow, as they called it, and the NES. Those games were really good. The myriad of Star Wars games that were coming out on PC and console, Rogue Squadron 2, Pod Racer to an extent. Those games really brought Star Wars back, and we're not getting those games today. We're not getting a Rogue Squadron today. I mean, would you compare the 3 Rogue Squadron games we got from Factor 5 to the shit we got from EA? Seriously? I wouldn't. But hey, you know, maybe they'll turn it around with episode 9. Maybe they'll turn it. Maybe they'll fix it. Probably not, but you know.
Star Wars single-handedly brought down Toys R Us, brought them to their knees.
I would think the management that basically raided the corporate coffers instead of, because when you own a business, you have to reinvest money in order to upgrade your store like every 10 years, really every 5 to 10 years, but you can go as long as 10 years. And like I remember I went to Toys R Us to get something because the Toys R Us near me was also a Babies R Us, and I had to get something for some friends of mine who had a baby. And I literally felt like I walked into, like, this was in 2016. I felt like I walked into 1998 going to that store. I'm like, oh shit, I'm back in 1998.
I think there's probably a lot more reasons than just Star Wars stuff that brought down Toys R Us. I just think the idea of it's kind of funny.
Yeah. This technological monstrosity you built pales in significance next to the power of the Force. But anyway, Star Wars. I think Star Wars is fucked. As long as Kathleen Kennedy and J.J. Abrams are attached to Star Wars, it's fucked. Basically, what's going to happen is that Star Wars Episode 9 is going to come out. People are going to watch it. It's probably not going to do nearly as well as Disney wants it to. And basically, they're going to let it lie dormant and then rehabilitate the franchise with those Disney Plus movies. Because from what I heard, The Mandalorian's probably going to be good, allegedly.
Yeah, maybe they'll just farm some of the Star Wars stuff out to animation studios and whatever. That would be animation studios they own, and then they just create animated short series.
Even TV shows wouldn't bother me. It's just like if you're gonna do a movie, like, cause I mean I liked Rogue One. Rogue One was good.
Oh yeah, that was good. That was like a glimmer of hope, at least for me.
Yeah.
Maybe, I mean, but no.
Is it ironic that it was a prequel to A New Hope? No, it was a prequel to A New Hope. And I know some people are like, I wanted to be attached to these characters. Look, they already told you in A New Hope, many people died to get these plans to the rebellion. Look, you knew those motherfuckers weren't gonna make it. Especially at the end of Rogue One, where Darth Vader boarded that damn ship. You knew those motherfuckers were fucked. When he lit that lightsaber, it's like, oh shit.
It's interesting to see a Star Wars movie where people weren't swinging around lightsabers.
Yeah, and the one guy who did, you've always seen in every Star Wars film, the old movies, not the new ones. The old movies, everyone's like talking shit about how badass Darth Vader is and why people were afraid of him. And then at the end of Rogue One, you find out why they are so afraid of him. It's like, well, shit, god damn. It's like, well, god damn. It's like, I mean, that was like something out of a horror movie. I was like, oh, shit. God damn. Jewel, did you see Rogue One?
Thankfully,
because
what? Thankfully, no, because I had bad feelings.
It was good. If you get a chance, you should watch it. Yeah, if you get a chance, you should watch Rogue One. It's the only good Disney Star Wars film. I can legitimately say that until Episode 9 comes out, and it'll probably be shit too. So I can say this with confidence. Rogue One is the only good Disney Star Wars film thus far.
Yeah,
it's really good. I mean, there are characters in it that people don't get attached to because they're going to die. I mean, I'm just telling you right now. Any character you see in Rogue One, they're all gonna die. They're gonna die. But man, the journey, because they're there to sacrifice themselves to get the plans to the Death Star, to the rebellion. All of Rogue One is one big prequel to the beginning of A New Hope, where Darth Vader boards Princess Leia's blockade runner. He's like, "You're a liar and a traitor, and we know you've got the plans." That's all leading up to that point.
And they made a really good movie off of a throwaway line, and they explained why there was a flaw in the Death Star.
Yeah,
which makes sense.
Yeah, they explain why there was a flaw with the Death Star. They explain like how the rebellion got their hands, how desperate they were, how fucking like the rebellion is fucking desperate for a win because they are getting their ass handed to them. And why everyone's like, why people shit themselves when someone says Darth Vader is here? Oh shit, I shit myself. Oh goddamn. Because at the end of it, there's a scene.
They know what.
What?
I was about to say they know what. Keep near Darth Vader's area.
Well, no, there's a scene. Here's what I'll say: if you get a chance, watch Rogue One. But if you can't watch Rogue One, if you don't really care, just YouTube or Google the end of Rogue One Darth Vader scene where Darth Vader boards this ship that they had the plans on, and there's this hallway, and there are these rebellion troopers trying to get this shit to this ship, and he's coming for their asses, and he is fucking up everybody in the hallway. It is like shit. This is some shit out of a horror movie. It's awesome. It is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I would say painting the walls red, painful.
It's just fucking awesome. I mean, like I said, I will agree with you. All of the Disney Star Wars films except for Rogue One are shit, but Rogue One is good. I'm not saying it's great. Yeah. It's good. It's very good.
Yeah, because it starts off real slow.
It's an island in a brown.
What?
An island in a brown sea.
Basically, yeah. It's a life raft in a sea of shit. It's a shitty shit. It's a shitty sea, but there's this life raft where there's no shit and it floats and it's not dipping into the shitty water. So I mean, the beginning of the movie is good. It shows just how desperate the rebellion is. It introduces the characters in a semi-believable way. The middle's kind of meandering, but the end is really good. The end of the movie is really, really good, like insanely good. So overall, I give it a B. If I had to give it a grade, but that
it starts off really slow, but it builds up. That's one of my gripes with the movie.
Yeah, but I mean, it had to establish because the whole point of the movie is to show just how desperate the rebellion was for a win. I mean, because even in getting the plans, they lose like half of their fucking fleet. So I mean, shit,
Yeah.
But anyway, so the other news: Spider-Man and Disney struck another deal for Spider-Man. He can appear in one Sony movie and one Marvel movie, and they get to share them. So Sony can fool people into thinking
it's shared custody, basically, right?
Well, for a little bit, Sony can fool people into thinking their shitty Sony Spider-Verse is the same as Marvel's MCU, which is kind of disingenuous, really.
Yeah, that's I don't know how I feel about this sort of thing.
Yeah.
So how long before Disney buys Sony Studios? Sony's studios.
Well, I mean, at this point, Sony would rather shoot their own dick off than sell Spider-Man back to Disney. The only thing they got. The only way, yeah, it's it's like, anyone here ever seen the movie Officer and a Gentleman?
No.
Well, The Officer and the Gentleman is this movie with Richard Gere and Louis Gossett Jr. where basically Richard Gere plays this guy, this college graduate who his father was a sailor and his mother like left him with his father, and his father's like totally an asshole, should not be raising a child. And so basically, like but the guy goes to college, graduates, and he enlists to become an Air Force pilot in the Navy, like an officer and pilot in the Navy. And there's this he's a loner. He doesn't actually do anything like with his fellow cadets or anything like that. So there's this scene where Louis Gossett Jr., who's the drill sergeant, is breaking his ass down. He's like, why don't you just go in there and just ring the bell and DNR, which basically means you leave, you quit and you can't come back. He's like, I'm not gonna do it. He's like, come on, I'll go. I got the thing signed. We're just gonna do it. He's like, don't you do it. Don't you do it. He's like, why not? He's like, I got nowhere else to go. That's basically how Sony is with Spider-Man. I got nothing else to do. Because really, I mean, Sony was also behind that shitty 2016 Ghostbusters and the shitty 2019 Men in Black International. Yeah, Sony, that's all they got is Spider-Man, really. That's all we got.
Yep.
Probably their life raft.
Well, it's one of the few profitable things that movie studio has. Few things. I mean, some of their smaller films, like The Equalizer 2, was good. That made money, but that was a smaller budget film. I think that film only had $30 million budget, and it wasn't heavily marketed, but it did okay. Now on to some video game news. Dragon Quest creator Yuji Horii shares a message to those who are playing Dragon Quest 1, 2, and 3 on the Switch. I don't know. What?
What did you say? Dragon Quest creator does what?
He's giving a message to those who are playing those 3 games, the re-releases of those 3 games on the Switch.
Oh.
Yeah. He's just saying greetings to all who are discovering the Erdrick trilogy on here, let me read it. Greetings, this is Yuji Horii. I'm very excited that the original Dragon Quest 2 and Dragon Quest 3 are available on modern consoles. Looking back, 1986 was the year that the first Dragon Quest released in Japan. And I'll never forget how special that year was for me. Well, I'm going to add some subcontext to that. You know what Enix originally made, the RPGs they originally made?
Yeah, Dragon Quest series, or?
Before they made the Dragon Quest series, they made Arrow games for the MSX. They made RPGs that, like...
That was for a computer.
But they made Arrow J games for the... They made adult-oriented RPGs for the MSX, okay?
Oh, wow.
If you ever wonder why the Dragon Quest games have this slightly, like, perverted sense of humor with some of the side characters, that's why. Because their roots are in Arrow games. I mean, I like Dragon Quest games anyway, but still, just, there you go, folks. They're pervs, okay? But anyway, back to the message. The entire development team had no idea what to expect, but it was extremely moving to see the franchise that was new and unknown grow into one with a passionate fan base. It was incredible seeing a huge line of fans waiting to purchase Dragon Quest 3 in stores. Now that it's already 2019, we've celebrated many milestones, including the 30-year anniversary and the release of many Dragon Quest games. God damn, I can't believe Dragon Quest is just as old as I am. Jesus, I feel old.
Trust me, sometimes when you grow up with a series, you like glue.
Yeah. The development team have made numerous tweaks and improvements to optimize these hugely popular classics for the modern hardware generation, so that players can enjoy them on TV screens in exactly the same way that the original fans did with the Famicom release in 1986. But today, you'll also be able to carry the games on the go. Whether you're a new player returning to the series, or returning to the series, this is where the magic of Dragon Quest all began. I hope that the retro gameplay brings you a smile as you, the hero, experience an epic journey. Thank you to all the Western fans who embraced our adventures. And in closing, I want to remind you that life is an RPG, so have fun. Dragon Quest series game designer Yuji Horii. That's classy. That's nice.
He more respect than what Enix does. I mean, Square does.
Yeah, Square. Yeah. Well, Square basically fired their Yuji Horii for Final Fantasy. They were like, you fucked up with that movie. You're fired. But I don't make movies. I make video games. You're fired. Get the fuck out of here. Okay, asshole. I'm gonna burn this shit down before I leave. Final Fantasy X2. Use that turd. Yeah, I'm sorry. That game is so bad.
Talk about, yeah, aka middle finger Aga.
Yeah, that was Hironobu Sakaguchi's "fuck you" to Squaresoft. It's like, you know what? You're gonna fire me for a fucking movie? Well, fuck you, buddy. Blow it out your ass. Here's some news. Grand Theft Auto 3 is probably being ported over to the Switch. Because there's a Peggy rating coming out in Australia, so that means it'll probably be ported over.
Oh, Grand Theft Auto 3 is being ported over the Switch? That's funny.
I'm like,
That's
why
funny.
GTA 3? That's not even the good one. Like, GTA 3 is nice, but
why
it's
not Vice? Why not Vice City or?
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't it make sense to do like a GTA collection that's got like GTA, that's got Vice City, San Andreas, Liberty City stories, Vice City stories, and Liberty City stories and Vice City stories. I don't know why there was never San Andreas stories, but whatever. That would have made sense, but whatever.
Yeah.
Like, why just that one game? that's my question.
It's weird, yeah.
So, what are your guys' thoughts on that? Any other sandbox style games from yesteryear you think need to be ported to the system?
That's a tricky question. Then again, I'm not the one that's into sandbox games, so.
No Saints Row
she just
2 on the system? No GTA 4?
If any of those come into the Switch, I'd hope for Saints Row.
Yeah. I mean, I know some people are going to be like, I don't like Saints Row. But I do, so I know some people are going to be like,
those are coming. I hope it's Saints Row. Because if anything, GTA has its weird, staled feeling in a sense. Like, it takes seriously, like it thinks it's part of a drama movie that you see on every TV station on cable.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem to me, is that GTA after the 6th gen got way too fucking serious.
Yeah.
Like, that's my problem with GTA, is that it takes itself way too fucking seriously, which bothers me a little bit.
Saints Row 4? I mean, the Saints Row series, on the other hand, but they were, and they enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's kind of my problem with Saints Row. Saints Row went too far over. They take it too far. Like, it gets way too stupid. And then GTA takes itself too seriously. I think the perfect sandbox game would have the
balance of both.
The balance of both, yeah. You'd have some seriousness, but you don't, because GTA, like, my favorite 6th gen GTA is San Andreas. San Andreas does have some serious moments, like when CJ goes to pick up a guy and like to get the crew back together, and like he sees a dude that he used to look up to is now a crackhead. It's like, God damn. It's like, what's wrong with you, man? He's like, hey, man, I just gotta, shit happens, man. I mean, that's kind of serious. Like, God damn, the crack epidemic is strong. But then it has funny shit, like attacking a fellow hobbyist with a hobby plane with a machine gun mounted to it. Like, that's. I mean, you're killing people, but it's kind of funny how you're doing it. Like, I mean, I think they have to scratch that balance. I mean, because basically Saints Row got so silly that they couldn't top themselves, which is why you've only gotten to Saints Row 4.
I was going to say, there's a difference between taking yourself so seriously that you're a brick shark.
Yeah. But with that being said, I guess we can move on to the next little bit of news. Video games can't replace the gym, but Ring Fit might help you out a little bit.
I'm going to say this before, and I have to wonder, what the beep is that?
It's a RPG game where you attack, like, all your actions all your actions are based upon like you use the Ring Fit peripheral in order to do it. If the game didn't cost $80 and you didn't have to have a weird fucking peripheral in order to play it, I'd probably get it. But
I was going to make the joke that if you don't onto your face to move your character in a sense, then it's.
no, I mean most of what you do in the game is you're using the Ring Fit peripheral in order to do stuff. My problem is that like I've never enjoyed Nintendo's side peripherals that cost extra amounts of money in order to get the game. Like I didn't have a Super Scope because the Super Scope with the game cost like $130 back then, which if you adjust for inflation is like $230 now, and that was ridiculous back in this the 16-bit era. Um, for the longest time I didn't have a Rumble Pack because like when I got Star Fox, it was the budget version that didn't come with the Rumble Pack, so I'm not gonna fucking pay for that shit. So I mean, they're gonna either have to lower the price of this thing or do something because I mean I'm not paying $80 for a peripheral. I mean, from what I heard, the game's decent, but I'm cheap. I'm not gonna do it. What are your guys' thoughts on that? You think that peripheral based games that are kind of easing people into exercise or on the come up? What do you think?
I'd rather go back to the balance board, thank you.
All right.
At least it's intrusive.
I didn't like the balance board. I thought Wii Sports and Wii Sports and Wii Fit were good enough to me.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That if anything, the Wii and Wii Fit basically that was plenty. That was plenty of motivation. Feel better.
Yeah, I don't like a lot of extra peripherals, expensive ass peripherals for my shit. But that's just me. Your thoughts, Kenoshi, before we move on to the next news topic?
About the ring.
The Ring Fit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks interesting. It looks fun, but I don't think I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna stick to plain old working out.
Yeah.
I find it interesting that they're kind of keeping their weird sort of like exercise stuff and their craft stuff that they're doing with like the labo and the ring separate from their other stuff. Kind of like two different.
Well, I mean, the Ring Fit thing kind of makes sense because they started it with the Wii. Because the Wii was packed with Wii Sports, and that was very like get you moving, get you exercising, get you going through But Wii Sports was unobtrusive.
I mean, yeah. I mean, a lot of that stuff. I mean, like I'm saying. Well, what I'm saying is like how during E3 a lot of that stuff was in your face, but now it's like its own separate thing because they didn't talk about that at E3 or anything.
Yeah, but I mean, you have to remember, Nintendo has basically, since they've been doing the Directs, there's been more and more shit at Directs where, like, they'll show a whole bunch of games at the Direct, and then there's other shit coming out that they don't even mention. Like, they've been doing that since they've been doing Directs. It's like, oh, the Direct is cool, but then there's all this other shit that they're talking about that they don't even talk about, so, you know how it is. Nintendo's like that. Nintendo be like that. They're weird like that sometimes.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if anything, I appreciate their experimentation, but sometimes those experiments, well...
Yeah, we get Wii Music, so, sometimes you get something good like Wii Sports or Wii Sports Resort. Sometimes you get Wii Music, so, but I'm glad they experiment and do something different, because, I'd rather them try something different and have it succeed or fail than be like Sony and Microsoft and just play it safe all the fucking time. or when they do something different, it's just a rip off of someone else's shit. Like what PlayStation Move was PlayStation's knockoff of the Wiimote. Remember that shit? But speaking of Nintendo fucking up sometimes,
I'm going let me do this. This is something I'm going to personally get on them with.
Mario Kart
Nintendo.
2? Yeah.
Nintendo, seriously, I'm going to get on you right now. I know that you are getting a little bit heavy into the mobile devices. I get that. Mobile could do that handhelds can't. I get that. But when you pulled off on Mario Kart Tour, that is starting to cross the line experimentation and just plain money pocket read. Seriously, $5 a month for the chance to get premium characters, and that's on top of the fact that it's a free-to-play mobile game with microtransactions. And I have to wonder people your priorities and picking somebody's pockets. It's bad enough that I have another game to worry about that problem, but this one, get your to get please for the love of Arceus.
Well, to be fair, I'm not really surprised that that Nintendo is because it's a mobile game, and mobile games make their money from microtransactions, by and large. I mean, occasionally you'll get a mobile game that like I said, I will endorse this game because it doesn't really have microtransactions. Pixel Dungeon, there's various different versions on the Google Android App Store, the Play Store, and basically it's free to play. You don't have to spend any money to unlock anything, but that's the rarity. Most games on like smartphones, they make their money off of microtransactions. You spending real world money for fake shit. That's how they make their money. I personally have nothing directly against that. My problem is that they're locking shit that should be unlockable from playing the game behind a paywall. Because even other mobile games don't do that. Like even like other mobile games that have like VIP things, like you can unlock that, albeit slowly through normal gameplay. It's not like, well, you got to pay for this in order to have this for a lot of them. But I mean, listen, this is what people wanted. They were like, oh, Nintendo should just put their games on mobile. They just put their games on mobile. This is what you motherfuckers wanted. You got exactly what you wanted.
Asked for.
Yeah. This is what they wanted. It's just like those people are like, we don't want George Lucas in Star Wars. You got what you wanted. Is Star Wars better without George Lucas? Fuck no. I think we can all agree.
And this is the reason why.
Better.
And this is the reason why I will be patiently waiting for a real beeping handheld and not a mobile beep.
So I'm not really surprised by it. I'm not surprised by it.
Pointed and surprised. If anything.
I mean, like, because Nintendo, when they did Fire Emblem Heroes, they saw that microtransactions made money, so they kept with it. Case Animatronics, which is a Friday Nights at Freddy's spinoff, I think.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I don't know. It came out this whatever. Let's see what else. I'm not touching that. Some of these stories are kind of weird.
Oh boy.
Yes.
If anything, I just NBA 2K20.
What, the microtransactions?
You clearly are getting what you deserve, especially for the Nintendo owners.
Well, I would say FIFA is just as bad. They're both not good.
I know, but if anything, it's NBA 2K's turn, so let them have this one.
But with that being said, we have one comment from Chanel83. Fire Red, Leaf Green is my favorite game in the series of Pokemon. You mean Fire Red and Leaf Green, even though they're technically the same game with minor Pokemon variations.
Differences of who you could catch and
that's about it. Yeah.
yeah.
To be honest with you, I like Gen 1 the most just because it doesn't have a lot of the bullshit that later installments had. I think the more shit they added to Pokemon, the more it got a little top heavy, in my humble opinion. But whatever. And now it's time for the serious topic of the serious topic and the fun topic. I guess we'll do the serious topic first because the fun topic will be easy. As a Nintendo fan, what non-Nintendo systems do you own and game on, and why? Who wants to go first?
What was the question?
As a
what
Nintendo
non-Nintendo
fan,
game?
what non-Nintendo games and what non-Nintendo systems and games do you own and why?
Let's see. On a PlayStation 3, mainly because there was exclusives at the time that weren't, because that's when Sony actually kept their exclusives, and they didn't jump. Most of them didn't jump over to PC.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot that jumped over to other systems, but they still had a lot of exclusives that stayed on the PlayStation 3.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's why. Also, well, this doesn't necessarily count as a system, but PC, just because that's where all the superior versions of the third-party games are. Not to mention, you can get better deals on PC.
PC counts.
There's more. Obviously, there's more functionality as well, and you can do more. But other than that.
Yeah, PC counts. PC counts because there's a lot of people who own gaming PCs that are primarily built for gaming, not for, other work. Although the cool thing about a PC is that it can do other things aside from just playing games, which makes it more versatile than a console. But with that being said, Jewel, you have any consoles you game on aside from Nintendo ones?
From the past PS2 and the games that come with it, one of my games is actually Monster Rancher 4.
That's a good game.
Which probably is a weird call.
Not really. I mean, the only problem with Monster Rancher is that is that it takes so goddamn long to get your
best.
Well, it takes so long to get your creatures leveled up to a certain point.
Yeah, especially when certain creatures have a difficulty of evolution.
I mean, that's the one flaw to me.
Yeah, though if anything, I do dabble in PC gaming at times. So that's a mixed bag on its own, since I'm one of the few people you know of that do not have Steam.
All right.
Which I'm surprised didn't weird you out of all people.
No, some people don't. Some people don't like. Some people don't like it. Some people don't like Steam. I mean, me personally, I think
I have a more favorable thing with Steam, but if anything, I actually never really saw what I never thought about, because I thought it was just a default.
I mean, for me, it's more like certain things about Steam are really fucking awesome. Other things, not. I mean, Steam's one of those things where some things are awesome, other things aren't.
Yeah, I was thinking that Steam is a default gaming system. I mean, default gaming. So, if anything, I wasn't sure about going with it because, I'm not how much of a space they take up.
I mean, if you have a PC, and Kenoshi can probably attest to it. If you have a PC and like hard drives are really cheap now. Like you can go on Amazon or basically anywhere and get like you can get like a 300 gig, 500 gig hard drive, USB hard drive, external hard drive for like 30-40 bucks. And basically, unless you're getting like modern games, you can get like a lot of games on sale on Steam and just put them on that hard drive and you'll be fine. Steam's really good about that. That's one of the cool things about Steam is that when you have a Steam sale, you can get some awesome games for cheap, which I personally love. I love getting games on cheap. Like that's one of the things I love about Steam is that you can get
Yeah, I
cheap.
actually get, though, if anything, probably one of the few games that I'm willing to go for would be Tabletop Simulator.
Yeah, they have that. I've
If
never
you
been.
if you ever decide to build your own PC, and everybody that's listening, make sure
Building a PC cheaper. I'm going to say that right now.
make sure you get a SSD as your boot drive. It's because it keep it as your boot drive and keep it as a drive for like applications and stuff, and then get like either an external hard drive or a mechanical drive as your mass storage, because that'll save a buck or two rather than getting I'll get like a 256 or 500 gig SSD as a boot drive and like a mechanical drive as a mass storage for games. Make sure it's like 7200 RPM too. Just while we're on the topic of hard drives, but what were you going to say about building a computer?
I was saying that I do know that it's getting a lot cheaper lately. So if anything, it shouldn't be too hard to get into that part of gaming.
Well,
Oh
I'll be
yeah,
honest with you. The best time to really buy the parts to get to build a computer, even if you're doing like budget, is like Cyber Monday, Black Friday. Just like order the shit as you can, and then you just put it together. Because I mean, really, that's like because basically they're clearing out the old shit to make room for the new shit that's coming out next year, like in the spring of next year. So like they're clearing that out. They want to get rid of it, so you can get a decent motherboard. A lot of the motherboards now come with most of the shit already soldered onto it. All you need is just the CPU. And you save your money up. If you save like, $500, $600, $700, you can build yourself a decent gaming PC.
if like Yeah, if you're not looking for top of the line, best of the best, greatest of the greatest, I would definitely go all AMD.
Yeah.
Like the CPU, the graphics card, just because they're usually known for price for performance. You usually pretty much get what you pay for. Sometimes even a little more than what you actually paid for.
Yeah, they get the job done. Yeah, and they're cheap.
But if money is not an option,
then you go with Nvidia. Yeah.
Go with Nvidia and Intel.
Yeah. Nvidia is when you spend money. Nvidia is what you get. Like Nvidia is if you want to spend lots and lots of money for
mediocre.
Well, for moderately better performance than AMD. Like if you want to spend lots and lots of money on shit that's like that's what you do.
Yeah, the thing about Nvidia, there's actually if you're just buying an Nvidia card for games, there's a point where it's just like you get diminishing returns. You're just throwing away money.
Yeah, yeah. Because the thing about Nvidia is like if you get the top of the line Nvidia card, you're going to have to buy a lot of the other shit to go. Like okay, if you're gonna get a top of the line Nvidia card, like the newest card they come out with, you're gonna want a monitor that's gonna utilize those graphical abilities, which means you have to get an Nvidia branded, an Nvidia sponsored monitor that goes with that, and those monitors ain't cheap. So everything gets more expensive as you go with Nvidia. AMD is a bit more budget friendly in that you can get their most powerful shit, but you don't have to get the best monitor in order to enjoy it.
You just need to be careful of which you're going for, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Right?
Well, it's just that. What? Well, sorry, but if you're going to go with the top of the line graphics card for many of these companies, don't skip out on the CPU. Like,
yeah,
don't skip out on the CPU.
I was going to skip out on the CPU, one of the most important things of a computer.
and get a CPU
But,
that's
but there's a
compatible
lot
with
of
your
people.
GPU.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people who will be cheap with the CPU, and don't be super cheap with the CPU.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you right now. I learned this the hard way. Like, you don't not want your CPU to get bottlenecked by bottleneck your GPU, because it's a bad day if it does.
Although to be
You're not gonna have fun.
Although to be fair, with more and more memory cards today carrying onboard memory, and a lot of the grunt work for gaming is being done on the graphics card, you don't have to be as
Then
well, you don't have to be as on point with the CPU as back in the day. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I'm just saying, don't like, if you're really strapped for cash, don't go for like a $30-$40 CPU. Like, it's, you'll do just fine with a CPU, from 3 or 4 years ago, because I see the game recommendations and some of the requirements for the CPUs. These generate like the maximum requirements, or the recommended requirements, or CPUs from several generations ago. So
yeah, but that's it. So I guess it's my turn. Basically, like I said, ever since when I first started playing video games, like the 8-bit systems, I've always had multiple systems. Like when I had an SNES, I eventually got a Sega Genesis. When I got an NES, I also got a Master System at the time. When I had a N64, the N64 was the first generation where I didn't get a PS1. The 5th gen, I basically got into PC at that time, because almost every game that came out on the PS1 also came to PC. Although the PC version at the time kind of sucked, but I wasn't getting a PS1 at that time because I was like, fuck Sony. I was on my fuck Sony kick. Then, matter of fact, the first time I played Final Fantasy VII was on the PC. It was not on the PS1. So, let's see what else. Then the 6th gen came, and I got my hands on. I had 3 consoles in the 6th gen. I had the GameCube, the PS2, and the Dreamcast. And believe it or not, I got the Dreamcast before I got a PS2. And yes, the Dreamcast is a 6th gen console, despite what many people may tell you. I love it. For me,
I find it like a black sheep. But it got the short end of the stick, but they at least were trying to be noticed.
I mean, to me, for me, my issue with the Dreamcast is, had Sega not fucked up monumentally with the previous console generations, like had they actually either just stuck with the Sega Genesis for another 2 or 3 years, instead of coming out with all these different peripherals that basically cost as much to develop as a new console that ultimately failed, and then came out with the Sega Saturn and supported that for 4 or 5 years, and then come out with the Dreamcast and didn't fuck up like continuously. And had they if they had waited like maybe a year to get the Dreamcast out, and maybe have it launch with a series of really quality games, I think they could have pulled. I think Sega would still be in the console industry now had they done that. Like, had they not fucked up all those years before with all that other shit. Because I think the Dreamcast was a really good. Because the Dreamcast was really far thinking. The Dreamcast came with a modem, with online capability out the box. It wasn't great, but it was there. There were games on the Dreamcast that actually made sense to have online gameplay, like Phantasy Star Online. the numerous amounts of racing games on the system, a lot of the first-person shooters, like I think Quake was on the Dreamcast.
There was even some fighting games.
Yeah, Soul Calibur, stuff like that. Like there's a lot of games where online would have been really helpful for the Dreamcast. And even had they just waited a year, they could have come out with a Dreamcast that played DVDs. And that would have been fucking awesome, because then you would have had Sega's personally branded games, their 2K games, the football, basketball, hockey, soccer, competing against EA, and it can also play DVDs, like the PS2. Shit. Dreamcast.
That'd be a dream come true.
That would have cut the PlayStation's sales and the PS2 sales in half right there. And it would have been a much more equitable 6th-gen console war. Instead of what we wound up getting, which was, you know, Sony running away with everything and getting fucking arrogant and then coming out with the PS3, which really, like, this gen with Sony is gonna mirror what happened in the 6th gen with Sony. Is that they got arrogant with the PS2, so they came out with the PS3, which humbled the shit out of them, and they got arrogant yet again with the PS4. So whatever their next.
I was about to say, arrogant. I think with how they're doing some of that.
Well, I mean, I just think Sony thinks that their product is that good instead of it was the more attractive option. It wasn't the best option. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. At least, if anything, it makes me feel glad that there's more options than the. And I'm trying to be polite here with Port Station 4.
I mean, the PlayStation 4 wasn't a bad console. It's just Sony really didn't do anything. Sony didn't put any, like, in my opinion, put very few exclusives on the system that actually made it attractive. Like, most of the games...
You're gonna have to stop you, because, you know, the Switch is, you know, somewhat just as bad as the PS4 when it came to ports. So.
Yeah, I mean, no, but well, she said port station. I said they didn't put exclusives on the system that really made it attractive. Say whatever you want to about the Switch. There are some good exclusives on the system.
I might not love exclusives, but
I might not love, like, I'm not wild about the ports either. I would rather have Nintendo put their energy into putting new games on the system than ports of old ones. Like, I would rather have a new Mario Kart than a fucking port of Mario Kart 8 with the battle mode. Like, I would rather have a new 2D Mario game than a fucking port of Super Mario Brothers Wii U. Like, I would rather have new 2D Mario games than ports of old ones, but, you know, fuck it, you know.
I mean, yeah, I'm not saying they were bad games. It's just, you know, you can't be like, oh, well, the PlayStation 4 were like too heavily on ports at the beginning of its lifetime.
I didn't say that it didn't. I'm not denying that. Jewel said that. I said that.
No, I'm not talking about you saying. I'm not talking.
Was that they didn't have a lot of strong exclusives to me. Like, because a lot of the exclusive, like, third-party games on the PS4 also came to PC. So it was like, if you have a PC, why the fuck should I buy a PS4 to get this game when it's also coming to PC? That makes no sense. But that's an issue on everything.
I'm not saying you said anything.
But you're right. People have said that. There were people in this gaming community who were like, "Yeah, it's the port station." Okay, well, you own an Xbox, right?
Yeah, it's like you know, because I remember, you know, people were like, "Oh, well, you know, the PlayStation is worthless because it's just relying on ports." All right, well, look at how well these ports.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like these ports are doing really good right now.
Yeah.
And watch as Nintendo does the same thing, because they're looking at this and being like, yeah.
Because people are dumb enough to buy the same shit over and over again. Speaking of people buying the same shit over and over again, the fun topic is, what game have you bought multiple times due to loving it that much, accidentally losing a copy, or destruction, etc., etc.? That was a nice segue.
Shantae.
Oh boy.
Shantae and the Pirate's Curse. I bought it on 3DS, the PC, I think I got it for the Wii U, and so yeah, I bought that game numerous times and 100% it numerous times, and it's just anything that came before or after it's kind of disappointing because I know
Eh,
he's supposed to be a half genie and the animal transformations are part of the gimmick, but god dang the Shantae, the pirate's curse, like
It's
her
really
losing
good.
her powers was one of the best things that happened to her.
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna go that far. I would say the Pirate's Curse is good. I would say that the game after that is also good. I would say Half Genie Hero sucks, but not
Yeah,
because not because Half Genie Hero within and of itself sucks. It's because the story structure of Half Genie Hero sucks because basically like shit doesn't come together until the very end. Like it's like all these very disparate things are going on. It's like what the fuck is going on? And then at the very end, it's like oh okay, so that's what was happening. Um,
yeah, it was
uh,
kind of disjointed.
yeah, that's kind of the. Hopefully, this next Shantae game will be better. Um, but you know,
I just remembered my the one I bought so many times, and
yeah,
even though I had multiple copies of it,
uh huh,
in a sense, it'd be two games.
okay,
One would be a Tetris.
okay,
The other one was a kind was kind of a weird thing, and it was what was it? Was it yeah radar mission or
really
battleship for,
for the
because
Game Boy.
I actually yeah, and the reason why is because I actually was to learn how to play certain games, and well, I had to buy more than one copy
All
in
right,
order for them to learn. So that kind of
okay, if you want to roll with that, all right. So I guess it's my turn.
but I was about to say, you probably never had to try to teach a game
But teach someone how to play Battleship.
or any other.
No, I've taught people how to play games. I've taught people how to play chess. I've taught people how to play card games, but that was in person. That wasn't me playing. That wasn't me trying to teach them the video game. It was like the actual game, like actual chess, actual poker,
Yeah.
blackjack, stuff like that with the actual deck. So it's much easier when you have the physical things. I have a lot of games I've bought multiple versions of. I have the original versions of Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers 2, Super Mario Brothers 3. But then I got Super Mario Brothers All Stars, which is all of those games all over again, plus the lost levels. I have
I just realized. Thank you for reminding me of that.
yeah,
Of
I have
remember of now having to buy multiple copies of it in a sense, or
yeah,
multiple.
I have
That was that was Yu-Gi-Oh.
yeah, I have Super Mario Brothers. I have Super Mario World on the Game Boy Advance and the Virtual Console for both the 3DS and the Wii and the Wii U because I love that game that much. Same thing with Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past. Um, I have Metroid 3 times because I have the Nintendo version, the Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Classics version, and then I have Zero Mission, which is a remake of that game. But it's I mean even if you take out the little bit of extra shit, it's still the same game. So I have that game. I've bought Baten Kaitos like 4 times because it's a 2 disc game, and if
It
one
was
of the
that
discs
good.
gets scratched up, no, I played it so much that the disc got scratched up, so I had to get another one. Same thing with Tales of Symphonia for the GameCube, which is the best version of that game is on the GameCube, but it's a 2 disc game, and if one disc gets scratched up or you lose it, and those little mini discs are so easy to fucking lose. Um,
I was about to lost a single mini disc, and you're saying
if
that?
it's a multi-disc game and you lose one disc, you're basically fucked. Because you can't just get one disc. You can't be like, well, I need disc 2. Like you got to get the whole damn thing again. So
I that because if anything, I got 8.
You got what?
I got Final Fantasy 7, 8. I just remembered.
Yeah.
And those are multi-disc.
Yeah, I'm not a Final Fantasy let's see. No, Final Fantasy 6 I have 3 times. I have Final Fantasy 6 on the SNES. I have the Super Famicom version. I have the
That game was all in one cart. As I was saying.
Well, I'm talking about games that you bought multiple versions of. I was just talking. I went on a tangent about multi-disc and losing one disc and having to buy it again. But let's see what else. Just a lot of games. A lot of Game Boy. Original Game Boy games. I've had to buy multiple versions of because I lost a version. Let's see what else. And Puzzle Quest. I have so many versions of Puzzle Quest and Tetris Attack. I like those games very much. But that being said, that's the end. We're at the end of the podcast. Anyone have anything they want to pimp out before we wrap things up? Well, we'll talk about Alpha Dream closing next week. I don't feel like...
You don't feel like sour in the mood?
I just don't feel like going over it again. I just don't...
Yeah. Even though it's kind of sad that it happened.
I mean, Nintendo's throwing a bone to all these different companies, and they can't throw a bone to Alpha Dream after Alpha Dream basically single-handedly pushed the Game Boy Advance with Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, and then the DS with Partners in Time, and then the 3DS. The DS with Partners in Time and Bowser's Inside Story, and the 3DS with
the 3DS with
Luigi,
Dream Team,
yeah,
remixes and
the remixes kind of sucked. I'm not gonna lie, the remixes weren't very
and
good.
Paper Jam.
And Paper Jam was trash. So I can see why. All they made were the Mario and Luigi games, and apparently they had a Hamtaro license. But does anyone care about Hamtaro really?
For little kids, but
I've played a few of those Hamtaro games. I don't even think little kids would enjoy them because you'd have to be brain damaged to find those games challenging. Severely brain damaged, like in a coma.
As I said, I care for them.
Yeah.
As an adult, not so much.
Yeah. But anyway, anyone have anything they want to pimp out before we wrap things up? Any video game trivia they want to...
Anything extra?
Yeah. Anyone have anything they want to talk... Any future topics they want to pin now for future installments, or we can just wrap this shit up? Okay, fine, then we'll wrap this shit up. So with that being said, that's the end of the podcast. You can reach us, you can reach me at mrredfoxbsbuster@gmail.com or at Twitter at Matthew Wesley at mrredfox91. You can also leave comments in the chat section, and I'll attempt to answer them because YouTube actually lets me answer things in the chat section. I don't know if you guys...
Don't forget, we even got a Discord.
Yes, we also have a Discord, which I believe I have a link in the comment section of here. If not, shit. What are we going to do?
We'll do it soon.
So...
With all that
being said, remember, rate, comment, share, subscribe. Peace. Enjoy your games. I'm going to steal this from Shadow Fox Infinite. Do you play games to have fun or to impress other people? I don't know about you. I play games to impress other people. So with that being said...
Don't forget to hype responsibly, people.
and fuck EA, Activision, Ubisoft, Rockstar. Are we forgetting anybody? Forgetting Nintendo's mobile division for that fucking Mario Kart Tour bullshit
thing. Yeah.
There you go. And
speaking of night.